Guys, I finished my 2 rows of triple crochet. So now I'm gonna end it off and we're gonna start our next color, our next stitch, and I'm gonna show you guys how I did that last stitch. So here you're going along. The last stitch is gonna be one that's curved right here above. You guys will see it when you get there. You want to make sure you have 1, 2, 3, and then a turning point. That's the last stitch right in there. Yarn over twice. Go through our last stitch. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to close off the last of it. So we'd yarn over and pull through that last one. We will cut this off and pull it all the way through. And then you can pull this and tighten it. And that will tighten it up. Then you can take this piece and weave it in through here. So this would also be how you would finish your work when you're completely done with a project. You would just want to cut it off and weave it through your work. Okay, and then I'm just going to tie it right here. Yep, you just kind of weave it in there. I'm doing all different directions, and you honestly, you can't even tell where it was the way I had weaved it in. So obviously I have a little bit more to go right here. And we'll just kind of tug on it, pull it back, and after a while it'll just kind of latch onto itself right there. So yeah, now we'll move on to the next stitch. We're going to learn a new stitch today. So I'm grabbing a new color. Oh, this is turning out so pretty. I love the colors. So we're going to turn our work around to the other side. This is the other side. So you can see this is looking a bit, when you hold this straight, it's not completely straight on the edge. You guys can see that. It's totally not straight. But that's totally fine, because this is just a sampler project anyway. So I'm not too concerned about getting it straight or anything like that. But if you want it more straight, then I definitely advise actually counting everything out, because I'm not counting in this project. I'm just kind of showing the stitches. The next color I'm going to incorporate, I kind of want to do a contrasty with, I want to go like light, dark, so I need to do another like darker tone. However, I want to do one full row right here. I think of this really pretty charcoal black I got from Dollar Tree. I love this color. I think it's so pretty. Oops. Okay, so we're starting. I'm going to start here. I'm actually going to start by putting my hook into the first stitch right here. I need to get through 2 spaces, so right there, we will loop around our yarn, pull it through, grab it, both pieces, and pull it through. Now I want to pull the end up through that loop, and then we're going to work into this loop. So I just tightened it on there by pulling this loop. Now we have our end piece hanging, and then we can pull our working yarn to close in the loop, loop around and pull through. That's going to chain 1. So I would consider that as a chain 1 if you're starting your work this way. If you're using this method of attachment of your new yarn. This end piece here, we actually want to hold it to the back of our work, like that. And we're going to work right around it, and it will be chained into the work. Because we obviously don't want to weave this down into here. So we're just going to hold it up against the back like this, straight across. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you a double half crochet stitch. So a double half, you're going to loop around the hook. And for this first one, I'm going to work into the first row here, or the first loop right here. And then behind our little end piece that needs to come over the hook, we're going to wrap around the hook and pull through or underneath those 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 loops on our hook. Okay, so then I'm going to wrap around and we're pulling through all 3 of those pieces like that. That creates a double half crochet stitch. Show you again. Wrap around the hook. Find the next stitch, which is right here. Make sure you get that tail of the black in there. Wrap around the hook and pull under all 3 of those. Wrap around the hook and pull through all 3 loops. Wrap around the hook. Find the next stitch. Okay, I hope we're following all right. So I do want to point out, you can work into a couple different stitches here. So right here, when I turn my work, you can see this V shape right here. There's like a V shape on the top of your work. So if I go through underneath both loops, this is front and back loop. Front and back. So some stitches will tell you to go through the front loop only or go through the back loop. With this stitch that I'm doing right now, I'm actually going through just the back loop. But I had that other piece of yarn that I just worked through here and intertwined into here, like the end piece of the yellow color down through here. So it's like thrown into this. So I had 2 pieces of yellow yarn and a black piece to work under, which is right here. You can see the other piece when I pull it apart a little bit. There's 1, 2, and then this piece. So as I'm going to get going down the row, I'm still going to go into just the back piece. So let me finish up where the yellow ends off and the black ends off as well. Alright, we just hit our first stitch that has just 1 piece of yarn. So it's going to look very, well, it's not going to look very good. You can see it looks very holy. Right here, very holy. We'll wrap around the hook, find the back loop, it's right here, wrap around, pull through, wrap around, pull through all 3. Wrap around, back of the loop, wrap around, pull through, wrap around, pull through all 3. And you just continue this all the way. And this is creating double half crochet stitches. And when you pull your work out a little bit, you can see exactly where the next stitch is, so you can see like this right here is pulling this loop. We just went into that stitch, so it's this one here, and instead of going through both loops, we are going through the back. So you can actually do the same stitch that I'm doing now and go through both, but I just like to do it this way. It's all preference, and that's what creates a cool pattern in your work. So you could take all these different stitches we've been doing and do them a little bit differently through front loop, back, or just back loop. And there's even some more cool ones I'm going to show you in future videos. So I'm going to go ahead and complete just 1 row of this, and then I'm going to continue with the same stitch pattern, but I'm going to do a different color. I'm going to make it about 2 inches or so. See on my board here, the inches, I want to make it about 2 inches. So it'll be about from here to here. So I'm going to do the same stitch, but a different color, and I'll get to that once I'm done with this part and show you guys. Okay, so I wanted to point out here, at the very last piece, at the very end, the last stitch, instead of going through just the back loop, I'm actually going to go through both of the loops. So the stitch is right here. It's kind of hard to see because this one's so stretching it out. But if we go in right through here, okay, there's one piece of it. Then the other piece is right there. So I'm actually through 2 loops, as you can see. Oh, I forgot to wrap my... Okay, you have to wrap around, then go through your last stitch, wrap around, pull through the stitch, wrap around and pull through all 3, and do one more single. That completes the black. So now I'm going to go ahead and start the new color. The new color I'm starting is this really pretty, gorgeous, light, muted teal. I love this color. It's so pretty. I actually end up using it with this blanket here that I made. It's gorgeous. Alright, we're going to go ahead and snip off the black and add in our new color. Okay, and I'm going to do this way a little bit different. So I'm going to just leave this on the hook, loop around my new color like this, pull it through the loop, then I'll have these 2 ends that I'm going to tie together so I know they won't go anywhere. Just did a double knot, and then I'm going to do the same thing and put these 2 ends on the back, like this, of the work, or right here. The back of the work, the top of the work, whatever, that's where it's going. I'm going to loop around and pull through and create another stitch, and then we'll go ahead and turn all of our work around to the other side. And then I'm going to continue doing this, but this time I want to work through both of the stitches. So I'm going to wrap around, and this first stitch here, I'm actually going to skip that stitch right there. I'm going to go to the second stitch, just right here, and I'm going through front and back loop and under my 2 end pieces as well. I'm looping the working yarn around once, pulling through, loop around and pull through all 3 pieces. Loop around, find the next stitch, front and back loop, grab the working yarn, pull through that loop. You got 3 loops on the hook, wrap around and pull through all 3, wrap around, find the next stitch, front and back loop, wrap around, pull through everything there. And I'm trying to make sure I hold down the 2 end pieces with my 2 fingers right here at the front, just so those stay down. Okay, and we'll just continue doing this. What the stitch looks like. It's kind of big right this minute, but that's fine. It's going to be a bit chunkier of a stitch for this color. Like, do you see how much chunkier it looks? It's because we are going through both front and back loop rather than just the back loop like we did on the previous color, the black. So it's hard to see, but this is front and back loop. I probably shouldn't have picked black, but I figured this is how I want my design. You guys can pick any color you want. I think that the black really pops this color out a bit more, the contrast. So that's a huge reason I picked. I'm going to do black, I think, throughout the design. And I'm trying to pick like muted colors, very earthy tone colors. Maybe like stone colors. Oh, so that one, you can tell right here that I messed up, and I'll show you. This, I accidentally went through the whole section. I went through front and back loop, plus the little add-on halfway point that this stitch creates, this little half thing. So I need to pull that out. So I need to insert my hook here, pull it out, and start over. So I accidentally went through right here instead of right here. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. So you don't want to go through there. You want to go through here and get front and back loop. And make sure that little black piece, the space is there. But if you wanted to do a different stitch, you could always go through there. If you go through all that, your stitch itself is going to be even chunkier. But you guys can feel it once you get going. What I mean by it's a little bit chunkier, it's like thicker because it's going through front and back loop, and it's also pulling all these pieces crunched down into almost a single stitch, but that's why it's called a half double crochet stitch. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and continue working, doing this half double crochet stitch all the way down. I'm gonna go back and forth like we've been doing, and we'll just create, I'm gonna go ahead and create approximately, because I want this about 2 inches, I'm gonna do probably 2 more rows. So we'll do a total of 3 rows all together. So once I'm done with the 3 rows, I will get back and show you guys the finished part of this, and then we can move on to the next video next week. Say it out loud one more time in case you guys are still lost. We are just taking our hook and we're wrapping around the yarn. We're finding the front and back loop of the top V stitch. So right here's the next stitch, right in here. Insert the hook, wrap around the hook, pull through that stitch, wrap around the hook, pull through all 3 loops. So we got 2 loops, find the stitch, wrap around, 3 loops, wrap around, pull through all 3. It's that simple. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I'll see you in the next video.